Welcome back to our chilling series exploring the haunted corners of the Sunshine State, where history and horror intertwine in ways that defy explanation. In this 8th episode of Most Haunted Places in Florida, we delve deeper into the shadowy realms of ghostly legends, uncovering tales so spine-tingling they'll leave you questioning the boundaries between the living and the dead. From sprawling plantations steeped in tragedy to eerie swamps cloaked in mist, Florida is a treasure trove of spectral stories rooted in sorrow, betrayal, and unrelenting despair. Florida's haunted places are more than just locations. They're vessels carrying the echoes of lives lived and lost. These sites bear witness to events that continue to reverberate through time, battles fought on hallowed ground, unspeakable crimes cloaked in secrecy, and the lingering presence of those who refuse to move on. Each place holds its own dark secrets, whispered through creaking floorboards, flickering lights, and disembodied whispers that drift through empty halls. Whether you're drawn by morbid curiosity or an insatiable thirst for the supernatural, these destinations promise encounters that blur the line between reality and nightmare. In this episode, we'll journey to some of the most infamous haunted locales across Florida, places steeped in lore and fear, where the past refuses to stay buried. We'll peer into the shadowy depths of haunted mansions, explore eerie swamps cloaked in mystery, and tread cautiously through abandoned institutions teeming with restless spirits. Along the way, we'll hear first-hand accounts from witnesses brave enough to confront the unknown, examine chilling evidence captured by paranormal investigators, and unravel the tragic histories that give rise to these hauntings. So dim the lights, keep your ears sharp, and prepare yourself for a descent into the macabre. As we step into the haunted heart of Florida, remember, sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil, and once you cross it, there's no turning back. The St. Augustine Lighthouse, a beacon of darkness perched atop the rugged coastline of St. Augustine, Florida, the iconic lighthouse stands as both a symbol of maritime safety and a magnet for paranormal activity. Built in 1874 to guide sailors through treacherous waters, this historic structure has become one of the state's most notorious haunted landmarks. Its sweeping spiral staircase, weathered brick walls, and panoramic views of the Atlantic Ocean evoke a sense of timeless grace, yet beneath its polished exterior lies a darker narrative, one marked by tragedy, loss, and spectral encounters. One of the most enduring legends tied to the St. Augustine Lighthouse revolves around the deaths of two young girls who perished during its construction. According to local lore, the daughters of Hezekiah H. Pitt, the project's chief engineer, were playing near the site when a rail cart carrying construction materials derailed, plunging them into the water below. Their untimely demise left an indelible mark on the property, and their spirits are said to haunt the grounds to this day. Visitors frequently report hearing faint giggles echoing through the halls, accompanied by the sound of running footsteps. Some claim to see two small figures darting playfully across the catwalk before vanishing without explanation. Another prominent figure in the lighthouse's haunted lore is believed to be Joseph Andrew, the first official keeper of the light. Tragically, Andrew fell to his death while painting the tower in 1859, leaving behind a grieving widow and 6 children. Paranormal investigators exploring the site have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a male entity whispering phrases like, "I'm stuck," and "Help me down." Witnesses described seeing a shadowy figure resembling Andrew pacing anxiously near the top of the tower, clutching what appears to be a paintbrush before disappearing into thin air. The lighthouse's basement, once used for storage and maintenance operations, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with cleaning the area often describe hearing muffled voices and the sound of tools clanging against metal surfaces, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a volunteer who swore she felt cold hands gripping her shoulders, pulling her backward toward the darkness before releasing her abruptly. Theories abound that the basement harbors residual energy from countless accidents and mishaps that occurred during the lighthouse's operational years. Modern-day investigations into the St. Augustine Lighthouse's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the catwalk and the basement. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique equipment believed to have been used in daily operations. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Leave us alone," and "We're still here." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, the St. Augustine Lighthouse continues to draw thrill-seekers and history buffs alike. For those brave enough to climb its 219 steps, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural grandeur or the weight of its tragic legacy, the lighthouse promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. The Carlisle Inn, ghosts of yesteryear nestled in the quaint town of Micanopy, Florida. The Carlisle Inn stands as a haunting testament to the antebellum South. A stately plantation house turned bed and breakfast that exudes charm and mystery in equal measure. Built in 1845, the inn was originally constructed as a private residence for wealthy landowners who thrived on the labor of enslaved people. Over the decades, it has changed hands multiple times, each owner adding layers of history, and perhaps tragedy, to its storied past. Today, visitors flock to the Carlisle Inn not only for its picturesque setting but also for the chance to encounter the restless spirits said to roam its halls. One of the most pervasive legends tied to the Carlisle Inn involves the ghost of Elizabeth Carlisle, the wife of the original owner. Historical records indicate that Elizabeth suffered from severe depression following the loss of her infant son. Her condition worsened over time, culminating in her mysterious death under suspicious circumstances. While officially ruled a suicide, rumors persist that foul play may have been involved. Guests staying in room 3 frequently report strange occurrences: lights flickering without cause, disembodied footsteps echoing through the space, and the overwhelming scent of lavender lingering in the air. Some claim to feel an icy hand brushing against their skin, while others describe seeing apparitions of a woman dressed in period attire staring mournfully out of the windows. Another prominent figure in the inn's haunted lore is believed to be James Carlisle, Elizabeth's husband, whose guilt-ridden spirit is said to wander the property. Paranormal investigators exploring the grounds have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a male entity whispering phrases like, "Forgive me," and "It wasn't my fault." Witnesses describe seeing a shadowy figure resembling James pacing anxiously near the front porch, his expression frozen in perpetual anguish. Some speculate that he remains tethered to the inn due to unresolved guilt over his wife's death, while others believe his spirit seeks redemption even in death. The inn's attic, once used for storage and servant quarters, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area often describe hearing muffled voices and the sound of footsteps echoing through the narrow passageways, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a maid who swore she saw a young boy playing with marbles in the corner of the room, only for the child to disappear when approached. Theories abound that the boy may have been one of the enslaved children who once worked on the property, forever trapped within its confines. Modern-day investigations into the Carlisle Inn's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the attic and room 3. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique furniture pieces believed to have belonged to the original owners. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like "Save me" and "Let me go." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, the Carlisle Inn continues to draw thrill-seekers and history buffs alike. For those brave enough to book a stay, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural grandeur or the weight of its tragic legacy, the inn promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Cassadaga Hotel, a spiritualist sanctuary tucked away in the quiet town of Cassadaga, Florida, The Cassadaga Hotel stands as a unique blend of mysticism and menace, a place where the spiritual world feels tantalizingly close, yet undeniably dangerous. Known as the psychic capital of the world, Cassadaga has long been a haven for mediums, psychics, and seekers of the supernatural. The hotel itself, built in the early 20th century, has earned a reputation as one of the most haunted places in Florida, attracting guests eager to test their courage against the unknown. One of the most enduring legends tied to the Cassadaga Hotel involves the ghost of Sarah Orman, a medium who once resided there. Described as eccentric but deeply sensitive to the spirit realm, Sarah claimed to communicate regularly with entities from beyond the veil. However, her abilities allegedly attracted unwanted attention from darker forces, leading to a series of bizarre incidents that ultimately drove her to madness. Guests staying in room 7 frequently report hearing faint chanting emanating from the walls, accompanied by the sensation of being watched. Some claim to see a pale figure standing motionless at the foot of their bed, her eyes wide with terror, before vanishing into thin air. Another prominent figure in the hotel's haunted lore is believed to be John Carter, a former guest who died under mysterious circumstances during a séance held in the dining room. Paranormal investigators exploring the property have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a male entity whispering phrases like, "Get out," and "You shouldn't be here." Witnesses describe seeing a shadowy figure resembling Carter sitting alone at a corner table, his face obscured by shadows. Some speculate that he remains tethered to the hotel due to unfinished business, unable to part ways with the psychic community that once embraced him. The hotel's basement, once used for storage and laundry operations, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area often describe hearing chains rattling and heavy footsteps echoing through the cavernous space, though no one else is present. Some claim to see shadowy figures dragging invisible loads, their movements jerky and unnatural. A particularly chilling account comes from a maintenance worker who swore he felt cold metal cuffs snap around his wrists, pulling him backward toward the darkness before releasing him abruptly. Modern-day investigations into the Cassadaga Hotel's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the basement and room 7. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique furniture pieces believed to have belonged to original owners. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Help me," and "Don't let go." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, the Cassadaga Hotel continues to draw thrill-seekers and spiritualists alike. For those brave enough to book a stay, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its mystical reputation or the weight of its tragic legacy, the hotel promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. The Green Lady at the Biltmore Hotel, Miami's glamorous ghost in the heart of Coral Gables, Florida. The Biltmore Hotel stands as a monument to the opulence and excess of the Roaring Twenties, a sprawling Mediterranean revival masterpiece that has hosted presidents, celebrities, and royalty. Yet beneath its glittering facade lies a darker narrative, one marked by scandal, murder, and the spectral presence of a woman known simply as the Green Lady. This enigmatic figure has become synonymous with the hotel's haunted reputation, captivating guests and paranormal investigators alike with her tragic tale. According to legend, the Green Lady is believed to be the spirit of a jilted lover who jumped to her death from the rooftop terrace in the 1930s. Historical accounts suggest she had traveled to Miami seeking reconciliation with her estranged partner, only to discover he had moved on. Devastated and humiliated, she ended her life in dramatic fashion, her body plummeting onto the concrete below. Since then, visitors have reported seeing a translucent figure clad in a green gown drifting silently through the halls, her ethereal form illuminated by moonlight. Some claim to feel an icy draft pass through them as she drifts by, while others describe hearing faint sobbing emanating from empty rooms. Another prominent figure in the hotel's haunted lore is believed to be Thomas Walsh, a wealthy businessman who checked into the Biltmore during the Great Depression. Consumed by financial ruin and despair, Walsh barricaded himself in room 1212, refusing to leave or accept visitors. Days later, his body was discovered slumped over a desk littered with torn documents and empty liquor bottles. Since then, guests occupying room 1212 have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, accompanied by the stench of stale alcohol and the sound of papers rustling violently in the dead of night. Some claim to catch glimpses of a gaunt man pacing anxiously in front of the window, his face obscured by shadows. The hotel's pool area, once a hub of social activity and glamour, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Lifeguards and staff members tasked with maintaining the space often describe hearing disembodied laughter and splashing noises, though no one else is present. Some claim to see shadowy figures diving into the water, their movements fluid and graceful, before vanishing beneath the surface. One particularly unnerving incident involved a lifeguard who swore he felt icy fingers grasping his ankle, pulling him downward into the depths before releasing him abruptly. Theories abound that the pool harbors residual energy from countless parties and gatherings held during the hotel's heyday. Modern-day investigations into the Biltmore Hotel's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the pool area and room 1212. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique furniture pieces believed to have belonged to original owners. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "I'm sorry," and "Let me go." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, the Biltmore Hotel continues to draw thrill-seekers and luxury travelers alike. For those brave enough to book a stay, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural splendor or the weight of its tragic legacy, the hotel promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Patterns across Florida's haunted places, themes of loss and legacy as we traverse the haunted landscapes of Florida. From the opulent halls of the Biltmore Hotel to the somber grounds of the St. Augustine Lighthouse, striking similarities emerge that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the wailing wards of tuberculosis sanatoriums to the shadowed basements of psychiatric institutions, these sites share a commonality that binds them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the victims of unethical experiments, or the betrayed trust of patients subjected to inhumane treatments, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of architecture in amplifying paranormal activity. Historic buildings, with their labyrinthine corridors, thick walls, and hidden alcoves, create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. These structural elements act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance: operating rooms where surgeries went awry, basements where bodies were stored, or wards where patients met tragic ends. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing guests to confront the unknown. The use of mirrors, a recurring element in stories from various haunted hospitals, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Finally, the prevalence of historical context cannot be overstated. Each location's haunting is deeply rooted in its unique past, shaped by the socio-cultural milieu of its time. The brutal medical practices embedded in the DNA of older establishments contrast sharply with the glamorous yet tragic lives immortalized in urban legends. Yet both narratives tap into broader archetypes of ambition, betrayal, and mortality, ensuring their resonance with audiences regardless of personal experience. By drawing on these universal motifs, these haunted places transform from mere buildings into living repositories of collective memory, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. Thus, while each establishment boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. The psychology of fear. Why haunted places captivate us? What is it about haunted places that grips our imaginations so profoundly? Beyond the creaking floorboards and flickering lights lies a deeper allure, one rooted in the psychology of fear and the human fascination with the unknown. These sites, by their very nature, are places of vulnerability. They are where we confront our mortality, stripped of autonomy and control, relying entirely on the expertise of others to heal us, or failing that, to ease our passing. When these spaces become haunted, they amplify our primal fears, transforming familiar settings into arenas of existential dread. The combination of historical context, architectural design, and the lingering presence of past suffering creates a perfect storm of terror that resonates deeply within us. At the core of this captivation is the concept of liminality, the state of being on the threshold between two worlds. Haunted places exist in this liminal space, bridging life and death, health and illness, hope and despair. This inherent duality makes them fertile ground for supernatural narratives. Ghosts, as manifestations of unresolved trauma or unfinished business, embody the tension of being caught between states. They serve as reminders that the boundaries we construct, between life and afterlife, sanity and madness, are far more permeable than we'd like to believe. For many, visiting a haunted site feels like stepping into a twilight zone where the rules of reality no longer apply, igniting both curiosity and unease. Architecturally, haunted places contribute to this atmosphere of dread through their design. Long, sterile hallways lined with identical doors create a sense of disorientation, while poor lighting and echoing acoustics heighten sensory awareness. These features mimic the psychological effects of anxiety and claustrophobia, making even mundane sounds, a distant cough, the hum of fluorescent lights, feel ominous. The labyrinthine layouts of older structures, with their hidden wings and underground tunnels, evoke feelings of entrapment and uncertainty. Every corner becomes a potential threat, every shadow a possible harbinger of danger. This environmental manipulation taps into our instinctual fight-or-flight response, keeping us perpetually on edge. Cultural influences also play a significant role in shaping our fascination with haunted places. Media representations, from films like The Shining to television series such as American Horror Story, have cemented the trope of the haunted asylum, courthouse, or battlefield as a locus of horror. These portrayals often blend historical truths with fictional embellishments, creating a mythology that blurs fact and fiction. Audiences are drawn to these stories because they reflect societal anxieties about institutional power, systemic injustice, and the fragility of the human mind. Haunted places become microcosms of larger fears, the loss of agency, the misuse of authority, and the haunting specter of mistakes made in the name of progress. Moreover, haunted places appeal to our desire for catharsis. Engaging with these tales allows us to process our own fears about mortality, injustice, and the flaws inherent in systems meant to protect us. By confronting ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena, we externalize internal anxieties, transforming abstract fears into tangible adversaries. This vicarious experience provides a safe outlet for exploring the darker aspects of human existence, offering both thrill and relief. It's no wonder that ghost tours and paranormal investigations of haunted places attract participants eager to test their courage against the unknown. Ultimately, the enduring allure of haunted places lies in their ability to mirror our deepest fears while challenging our understanding of reality. They remind us that the past is never truly buried, that pain and injustice leave indelible marks on both people and places. As we walk their haunted halls, we are forced to confront not only the spirits said to inhabit them but also the ghosts within ourselves, the regrets, doubts, and unanswered questions that linger long after the wounds have healed. In doing so, we find a strange comfort in knowing that we are not alone in our fears, that others have walked these same paths and emerged, shaken but alive, to tell their stories. As we bring this chilling journey through Florida's most haunted places to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call haunted. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of Florida's haunted places yourself. Walk the same halls where spirits are said to roam. Stand in the rooms where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken institutions offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of decades-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.